G'day and welcome to the third edition of my thoughts about Aptera after the interview done by the cretin at Aptera Owners Club, AOC. I'm going to be quick again, simply because I've done too many of these of late. Now, we finished off just after this.
What they're doing is actually wise, waiting until they have an actual, real, full production Aptera to run the numbers on and then release that, which is what they are saying that they're planning to do. Okay.
So that's where I ended up, and there's not much more to go, so if I don't say a lot, then too bad.
So that's my feelings on that part. Um, and then there's a bunch of people who are just, second guessing what Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro and the Aptera team are doing. And they're saying, oh, I could totally do a better job. They're doing this, this, and this, and this wrong. And, it's so easy to play armchair quarterback. I think what they're trying to do is just really hard. It's really hard. And I honestly believe that they are trying hard. They're trying their best to do it. Now, maybe their best isn't good enough. That's a possibility. But I don't know. I've never done anything like this. I think it's super hard. And I think unless your name is Elon Musk, Peter Rawlinson, or RJ Scarridge, you just really don't know. And your opinion is about as worth as much as we paid to get it. So yeah, unless you're one of those three people, you don't actually know what's involved, and you think you know what's involved, and you think you have the right answer. But there's a lot of things you don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know. There's things that they're trying, and every time I talk to them, I get the impression that all these things that people talk about in the comments, yeah, they've thought of it. Okay, it's not like we aren't as smart as we think.
Okay, well, I've got to admit, he's not as smart as I think. But anyway, first of all, he goes on again with this armchair quarterback stuff that he's actually made a video of in the past. He's just repeating himself. He's making excuses, and those excuses didn't wash the first time in his video. They don't wash now. Most of us naysayers don't say we can build any sort of an auto cycle or car, anything like that, nor do we have to. And I've said why in the past. You don't have to be an actor to be a movie critic. You don't have to be a director or producer or anything like that in the movies to be a movie critic. And likewise, you don't have to be a car builder to be able to say what should be going on when cars come out. And all this nonsense about we don't know, we're not that smart. Well, he can think that of himself, but there are so many things that I do know. I do know that it was once planned to have in-wheel motors, and they're gone. I do know that it was once planned to have skin cooling, and after about 3 or 4 years, they turned around and said, it's not even developed. We can't have it because it doesn't work, in effect. So that we know. We do know that it had a composite body, and just because they thought they might not be able to make them fast enough, that they go to Italy and get an expensive carbon fibre body that has to be shipped out in large lumps and is totally uneconomical. This is a big reason why it jumped from $25,000 to $40,000, which is ridiculous. We know that, and we can speak because we know these things, all these elements. We do know that they promised 2021 for the first vehicle, and now we're looking at, I think the short term is 18 months from when they get the money, and I've also heard 3 years from when they get the money. These are the latest figures. It's expanded from the 9 months that they kept saying. These things we know. We do know that they've got crowdfunding money, and that at the moment crowdfunding has stopped, so they've got no money coming in because there's nothing coming in from USCG, and they've got nothing on the table. They've got nothing else. We know that. So we can safely say that they're doomed at the moment, unless some miracle occurs. This we know, so we can speak on those things. We also know that the CEC wants 50 built by February next year, and it took them longer than they have the time left to build Fartames. So their chances of building 50 by February next year are pretty much zero. And because they won't get those 50, we know they're not going to get the CEC grant. So they're even further behind in raising money. We know so much that we're allowed to speak. He thinks we can be gagged because of some sort of funny little philosophy that he has that says that we either have to be car makers to comment at all, or we have to accept the fact that we don't know much. Well, we know a lot. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I want to be short.
It's people that do this every day and it's their job and they think about it. They have definitely thought about the thing that some guy watching a YouTube channel commenting in the comments has thought about. It's not like the things that people are suggesting are things that are revolutionary and new and are so amazingly smart that only they have thought of this thing. Okay, and then I think I wanted to talk about finances, but I think I need to collect my thoughts more about the finances before I do it. So maybe I'll do that in another video. Well, so let me know what you guys think about transparency. You know, how important is transparency, and what do you think Aptera needs to do with transparency in balancing the wants of like rabid fans like us versus the risk of having preliminary data numbers and other things be, put into headlines for people that are discovering Aptera for the first time or peripherally following Aptera, and have a risk a narrative that kind of gets out of control and hurts the company in the long term. I think that's sort of the metric that they're balancing. And I think that they're making a good decision on it, although I would like them to release more information. Just for me personally, I just would like more information. But in the whole calculus of everything, I think they're making the best decision actually by not releasing preliminary information.
So he wants to know what people think about transparency. Here's what I think, and I'll make this little suggestion first. I suggest that everything that they do is a short-term stunt to bring in money. If it looks like people will be sucked in at either a pre-order or an investment, they will promote it. They've done it for just about everything. And if you look at the long term, you'll see that they stopped promoting it because its use has passed as a means to quickly collect new money. And transparency is just one more of those things. It keeps cropping up, but initially they weren't transparent, or at least they weren't claiming to be transparent. They just did their own thing and hoped nobody noticed for most parts. But then some fanboy got the idea that Aptera were telling them things more than the legacy automakers would tell them. And so they latched onto this idea that Aptera are more transparent. That's the fanboys first. And once they said that, Aptera's marketing department went, wow, we can make something of this. And so out they came with, yes, we're more transparent than the legacy automakers. We're more transparent. We're so transparent, we'll tell you everything. But if you look in history, you can see things that they could have told us and took months and sometimes years to tell us. And when people picked up on that and noticed it, they started making excuses like, oh, there are certain restrictions that we have, possible laws by authorities and such, that restrict us from telling things. So we'll tell you everything we can tell you and we'll not tell you the things that we're not allowed to tell you. That was just rubbish. These people lie a lot, and that was just a blatant excuse that they'd made up in their head. A way to get out of stuff like not telling us that they had the EMR3 motor lined up a year or two before they stopped advertising for the in-wheel motors. So that's my opinion. Make of it what you want, but that's how it appears to me. So with that said, that will do for my thoughts about Aptera after the interview. The cretin's a fool, and I had him worked out years ago. Fanboys are gullible, as usual. That's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.